Hello, Bean. Bean, will you do the intro? Will you say welcome to the Unhinged Library?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to Unhinged Library. I'm Alicia.
I am Hallie.
It's nice to see you all again.
Yeah.
Or maybe you guys are listening to us if you're not watching us on YouTube.
Yeah, hello.
Hello from whatever platform you listen.
Yes.
And stream. So
today's book that we are covering is Blood and Steel. I will try to show this cover. It's on my iPad. I'm sorry.
There might be a glare.
Yeah, this one's like very much so a digital book. I just haven't gotten time to order it, but I will probably get physical copies of this book.
Agree. I did like this for like a physical copy.
I don't think it's gonna focus it well, but this cover is also very, very nice. I like this cover. This cover gives me dopamine.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, do I have... No, because I actually did this via audiobook is how I did this.
I have a note I wrote myself. Here's my notes.
Past Hallie notes to herself.
Yeah.
So this book, I feel like it's not as hyped. So to kind of give like a basic overview for it, you have Thea, who wants to become a swordsman. In like basic terms, there's a different terminology for the land, but she wants to become a swordsman, but women are not allowed to become swordsmen.
Women are not allowed to be warriors at all in this world.
Because there's a curse on the realm that supposedly if a girl with a blade is going to
brought down the downfall
of the world, pretty much
caused the apocalypse. But that is the thing, it wasn't always like that. There was a female warrior class, and they were like very revered, very well trained, like Valkyrie level women, and they were stripped of their titles, of their weapons, of their ability to do anything. Like they would be prosecuted if they tried to.
Yeah, so the librarian, she's one of those. That was one of the warriors.
Yes, she's like the librarian, the teacher, and the ward. So basically, and Thea has a sister, Ren. I don't remember which one's older and which one's younger. I know that they're not twins.
I think Thea's older.
I think Thea is the older one. I need to fact check myself on that one, but I can't because iPad. So these two girls were orphaned, and we don't know a lot about why to begin with. But we know that they were raised in this like training camp where like this training camp is not part of any kingdom. It's kind of a neutral place because it's only for like they're being trained as
alchemists.
Yeah, alchemists. Yes, I wanted to say apothecaries, but alchemists. They're being trained as alchemists. They also have their warrior factions, so shield breakers and
the war, yeah, because that's what
war swords.
War swords, yep, war swords.
So they are, and like they are the protectors of the realm. They're essentially the army, but they are completely neutral armies. So they're there because it's basically like instead of all the kingdoms warring, they've united and they've come together, and they are there to fight off the evil things.
Yeah, the like mist that's coming in.
It's mist. It's monsters. It's demons. It's mostly monsters.
Yeah, mostly monsters.
Wraiths.
Yes.
Wraiths. Believe it or not, I just finished this yesterday, and I'm listening to the second one actively. I just have that bad of a memory.
I listened to this probably about a month ago, and I've read the second one. I have the third one. I just haven't started yet. So I kind of remember this, but...
Yeah. So wraiths are the bad thing. And, like...
So Thea ends up training incognito, and she kind of watches the men train, because, again, women can't train for it. So she does Into the Bushes. War swords are kind of like the captain, so the main three war swords kind of come back to start training more of the shield bearers, which is how Thea kind of gets involved because she accidentally saves the king.
Yeah, so I forget why she was sent into that main
because
kingdom.
She got caught training by the war sword.
No, she got caught with a dagger.
Oh, a dagger, yep.
So she got caught with her dagger, and that's the thing, is like these daggers are made from a very specific metal you are not supposed to have one unless you are a war sword. And
Not female.
Yeah. So the reason no, even the men can't have them until they're to that level.
Mm-hmm.
The reason she had one, though, is because she befriended this, like, war sword who went through something, like, very traumatic, like, almost died in a battle, and is basically mute. He doesn't speak. Mm-hmm. He's able to move around, like, you see him interacting, and he has a dog, and I love the dog.
Yeah. I love him too. I love Malik. He's so sweet.
I love Malik. I love the dog. I love that. But, like, Malik gave her this dagger, and the inscription on the dagger is the same tattoo Malik has. And he gave her it. We know that. We don't know the motivations as to why yet.
Yep.
But he was the one to initiate this, because she's not a very good alchemist.
No, she doesn't want to be an alchemist either.
No.
Ren wants to be.
Ren wants to be, like, master alchemist.
And Thea is just, like, barely wants to learn it, doesn't really want to pay attention, and the librarian knows that, and the teacher knows that Althea is not interested at all, but Ren is for it.
The only thing Althea, like, excelled at was basically growing this one plant that essentially can be made into a bomb.
Yep. Or, like, the poisons. I thought she was good at that part,
poisons too. And, like, that. So, like, very destructive things in war battle-minded things. But she, like, from the beginning, she was wearing pants. She wasn't wearing dresses. She wanted to go play in the dirt with the boys. Like, she wanted to fight. And they came up with this game, Dancing Alchemist. I love that.
I like that.
Because, like, at first, it's just, like, trying to get the girls to exercise and battle. And then it turned into, oh, like, we're women. We kind of need to marry to put ourselves up in society. We're going to have to eventually dance at a ball or something. So we may as well add an element to dance to this. And, like, so, like, the movements are very fluid, and, like, they're supposed to be very fluid, and it's supposed to almost look like you're dancing as you're dodging whatever they're throwing at you.
And everything in the house that they're just throwing at each other, too.
Yes. Which I enjoyed, because, like, that is a very big thing when it comes to, like, swords and, like, stuff, is, like, a lot of people describe it like a dance, and you should be that fluid and, like, light on your feet for those types of things. So I appreciated that. That got put in there. But, so yeah, she's sent with Hawthorne Wilder.
Yes,
Wilder Hawthorne.
Yep.
You hear Hawthorne more than Wilder.
Hawthorne. Yeah, once like later on in the book you hear Wilder.
You hear Wilder more. And he's, like, the most feared
war sword there is out there.
Yeah, he is. Like, he's it. Malik was, but then Malik fell, and then there was one other,
which was his Hawthorne's teacher.
Yes,
but he's kind of like,
we don't know a little about him,
but not much.
But so she's sent with Hawthorne to the kingdom to explain why she had this dagger and basically beg forgiveness. Well, as she's at this, like,
festival kind of dinner.
No, because she was on, like, trial almost for it. She had to explain to the king why she had it.
Then he said no, that she couldn't practice to be a war sword.
Yes.
So then he invited her for dinner, where she saved his
life.
Just
to be, like, nice, and essentially, like, be like, oh, talk to my daughter, like, she's around your age. And, like, she does. She talks to the princess. Like, I kind of like what we're getting with the two of them. We don't have a lot with their relationship, but I feel like it's going to become a bigger thing, is having that ally in the princess. Yeah. Because the princess is actually fascinated by alchemy. She wants to talk to her about alchemy. Obviously, she's talking to the wrong sister about alchemy.
And they want two different things. So, like, Thea is interested in the magic that she's kind of feeling when she's into that kingdom, too. Because she's never kind of felt a presence, but
which
she's
is
feeling
very unusual. Because, like, they hammer that, like, it's weird that she can feel
the presence. Magic. And Jazzy, I think, is the princess's name, possibly. She kind of, like, reverts and doesn't even want to talk about that magic.
Jazzy,
it's something with a J. And then she wants to talk about alchemy, where Thea's just like, no, I want to talk about magic. So they kind of have different things to share to each other and different experiences for it. And you see later on where, like, the princess seems like she's trying to possibly protect Thea, where she's just like, yeah, I wouldn't even go in there for the ball later on.
Yeah.
But so then she gets clearance to be able to train since she saves the king's life.
Because she identifies the poison, and, like, I like how they describe that, where she kind of just notices something's off. She's like, that's a weird blue powder on the table, because like they're about to do a toast, so she like nobody has taken a sip yet because the king has not drank out of his goblet yet. So she's like, that's a weird blue powder. And then she like looks at the goblet. She's like, that's on the goblet. And that's when she figures out it's essentially like the servant who's pouring the wine. It's supposed to taste the wine for the king to make sure he's not being poisoned, who has this blue powder on his hands.
Well, no, he drinks it and
as punishment.
He's unalived because
Yeah.
he didn't test it correctly. But then it was someone else in the room who ended up having the blue powder onto their hands.
Both did.
I think that the other one might, but that's how she pointed out the other person, because the servant unalives.
Yeah.
And then
because he didn't do his job.
Yeah, he didn't do his job of testing.
He was in on it anyway.
And he knew.
He knew.
He knew. He was sweating before he picked that thing up.
We don't stand this.
But I did like how, again, she's just like looking into the crowd and she's like, your hands are blue. You weren't writing letters earlier. That's actually this powder for it.
Yeah.
So then she gets clearance to train as a war sword against a lot of men's wishes.
Yes. The king kind of just like, hey, you saved my life. Like, you can do what you want now, but like, nobody's going to make it easy on you. Like, this is not actually a favor.
And now you're on my radar, because don't think he's not watching everything she does now.
Except, no, we're not supposed to know that yet. We're not supposed to know that yet.
No, but
it's not said yet.
Yeah, but it feels like kind of insinuated, though. Of like
think,
the
but
king.
She didn't realize that he would be following her journey that closely. So anyway, she goes back to Hawthorne, and she's like, "Oh, I ended up getting permission to train, and the king invited us for dinner." And he's like, "Oh, well, we got to get back.
Yeah,
like, we have to get back." And she's like, "Wait, what? The king like invited us?" He's like, "Yeah, but we're not governed by the king. We're our own thing. So like, we're just gonna go back to the keep now." And so, like, they had a one-horse trope, literally. They had one horse.
Yep, one-horse trope here.
Yeah. It was not bad.
It wasn't bad.
It was a nice little, like, we know where this is going. But they get back to the keep, and, like, she's thrown into these lessons. Like, right away, just like, okay, you're training now. Like, go. And the first one, like, kicked her ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she makes friends.
She does. She makes friends with Kip and Cal, and I love Kip and Cal.
I do love both of them.
I love Kip. Kip is very like goofy, and like it's very much so stated from the beginning. Kip is not a good soldier. Kip is a good strategist, or so Kip keeps telling us.
Yes.
At that point. Cal, on the other hand, and like Kip has been there forever. We're talking like super duper senior.
Yeah, super.
If we're putting it in the terms of school, like super duper senior, he's been there, nobody really knows, somewhere between 5 and 7 years, let's go with. And he keeps talking about this bar that he supposedly went to.
Hey, he talked about all the time.
The Laughing Fox, yeah, and this woman at the bar, and the food and everything. And like, everybody's like, yeah, you're full of shit. You're like,
we don't believe you.
You haven't left the keep. And then Cal, who like is very quiet but like very helpful. So like the other thing about her training is she's thrown in the male dorms. She is thrown in their dorms instead of going back with her sister and the other alchemists. So obviously like she's kind of panicked because she's like, these men already want to kill me because they don't want me here.
And Barlow especially already has it out for her, because
I hope I never meet anybody with the name Barlow in real life, because you are immediately a villain.
Instantly judged.
Like,
you're blonde in my head already, and you're evil.
Yeah, and like this isn't the only book that a Barlow is the bad guy. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Barlow, B for bad.
Yeah.
Bad Barlow.
They are.
But
They're
yeah,
dicks.
he doesn't like her already even before she joined. So now the fact that she's getting forced to live with him already irritates him and his masculinity. Yeah. But thankfully Malik's dog goes to protect her and sleep with her at night in her bed, because the guys try to attack her the first night.
Yes, and she didn't know how to bathe. Like she was literally in this predicament of like, I'm either going to be stuck. Like, I haven't showered in like 2 days because I had to travel outside of the keep to this kingdom, and like that was like a 3-day journey. And she didn't get to shower. She was in the wilderness. She didn't get to shower before training. So like she's like, I can't even go back and use like the women's washroom. I would have to use this one, and like I'm not putting, again, smart, I'm not putting myself in that situation. But then like Cal kind of like pops in and he's like, hey, like the captain's quarters are empty, so like if you want to go there and shower, or bathe or whatever, like, and then she's even like, am I gonna get in trouble? He's like, if you do, I didn't tell you, but like, this is probably your safest option.
Yeah. And it was
like,
nice, that little olive branch of like a genuine male trying to help her and not just have it out for her. Because you also get referenced of the one stable guy a little bit before all this happens.
Yeah, she was hooking up with a guy.
Hi, Bean.
And like, it did not end well. That's all we really know at that point. It just didn't end well.
No.
And like, obviously the guys are already making like comments about like her, like, you know, sexual favors to get there, and like, you know, the war swords, and like, she's only gonna get ahead if she sleeps with people, or like, oh, like, let's get our turn in.
And at this point, she doesn't disclose to any of the other people in the class that she got in because of saving the king's life.
No.
They just know that somehow she's the only female ever allowed to kind of be into the shield bearer contest.
Yeah. But like, enter Malik's dog. He comes like every night to sleep with her and like essentially just like keep her safe, which good on, I'm sure Malik, like, go
something like. And again, like, she read to Malik before all this happened. Like, after he gave her the sword, she stayed there and became his friend, and also befriended his dog, which is another reason why he was kind of protecting her.
And like Hawthorne, because like Malik's
Malik
dog
and Hawthorne are brothers too.
Yes, but we don't know that at that point. In this book, we don't know it yet.
I thought you do find it out in this book.
Later
into the book for it.
Yeah.
Because again, he knows.
Because he questions why she's so close to Malik and why the dog. Because like, the dog even came on the journey to the kingdom with them and was sleeping with her even then. Because he's like,
why does he like you? Because he was kind of, I think, jealous that Malik's dog liked her so much.
So, training starts. Like, she is starting to get it. It's not without trouble. She's almost killed a few times.
Couple times. By one of the war swords. And by her other peers.
And like, one of the other things, again, my archery rants.
What's your Cal archery rant? Do you have a Cal archery rant or no?
I don't hate how they describe him, because he should be able, like, if they don't describe his shooting wrong too much.
Okay. Thea's shooting.
Well, even the hunting advice. So while they're in the woods going from the kingdom to the keep, or vice versa, Wilder gives this like very little tidbit about how to hunt small game. Just putting it out there, I shoot archery. I don't archery hunt too much, but I've grown up around it.
Yeah, your family's competed in archery.
Yeah. Telling a novice to aim for the eye so that you don't ruin meat, not great. The eye is usually a smaller diameter than your arrow. On top of it, they like, everything swivels their head very quickly. Animals can hear so much better than us and will move their head wherever they hear something. And it's a very, very small target. On top of it, the head is small game. Very small target. It's an arrow. It's not going to destroy your meat. It's not birdshot or buckshot. You're not picking pellets out of your food. Just shoot it in the body. That's where you shoot. You shoot for the lungs. Ideally, the lungs. Heart, maybe, if you can get it. Usually you don't, because it's very well protected. Not your liver, not your stomach. Please never shoot anything there. You ruin your meat if you hit any
That's where you
that.
ruin your meat, truly.
Yeah. Liver, it's not going to die. It can live, and then it's suffering, and you don't want to do that.
But again, the archery descriptions in this book got Hallie's eyes twitching for sure.
A little bit. Again, and my dad put a bow in my hands at 4 years old. You can't fault me.
I mean, I even have some hunting. I've gone hunting a little bit, and I've grown up around hunting, and again, you can tell.
For the eye. That's not good. Don't
do
that
it.
Advice.
Don't do it. If you're going to learn one thing, don't do it.
Yeah. That's not great advice. But then, like, the other thing, like, they kind of did to be a dick to her is, like, they put a longbow in her hands, and, like, longbows are supposed to be fitted to a person because, like, draw length and weight are very different for everybody. And they're just like, oh, here's a male bow that it probably doesn't even fit you. Like, you're not going to get it to your anchor point back here where you're supposed to hold your string. You're supposed to hold that for a few, like, let's say 30 seconds so that you can aim and do what you need to do. They just put it in her hands and said, do it. And, like, yeah, that's setting her up to fail because you're not going to be able to do it. You're just not.
But other than her archery description, so she kind of takes heat from her fellow peers, Barlow and things. So she runs into the stable boy that she had relationships with, and they kind of corner him, the other guys in the group that don't really like Thea, to try to figure out what happened, because they can kind of insinuate something happened between those two. So they kind of use that against her as well, saying like sexual favors, and that's what she's doing with Hawthorne, because it turns out the 3 war swords have to take apprentices.
That's not till like the very end.
So that's not quite yet then.
No, that is the very end, when they decide like they have to accelerate the training because there's too many monsters coming through the veil. Yeah. I want to know more about the veil thing, because like we hear more about it in the second book, and I want, because they like literally say it comes from a different universe. So I'm like, are we world jumping here?
Or are we like in a dome situation? That's also like sometimes what I picture it like. Are we like segregated and there's something going on outside of it too? Like, are we different worlds?
Different world or like different universe? And I'm like, is it world jumping? Like, are we
portal jumping again? Opening portals?
I like stuff like that, so it's very interesting to me. But yeah, no. So like in the end, they do end up having to take apprentices because they have to essentially like accelerate it. But even before you get to that, you have to go through and get your totem.
Yep.
We're jumping around.
I know. Sorry. Again, I read this one. That's why I was going to have you direct this.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So like,
she takes the beating from the
Lauren. L. It's the L name. Mm-hmm.
The big lion one. That's all I remember him as.
Yeah. So, but they end up forming a weird respect for each other after that.
Cal, Kip, and Thea do.
Cal, Kip, and Thea are friends from the beginning.
But that, I think, brings them, because Kip was getting beaten himself, and that's when Thea stepped in to try to protect him.
Oh, no, that was the punishment. So, yeah, so the War Sword was training with Kip, and basically said, like, you're useless, what the fuck are we even doing, like, still giving you this time? Like, you haven't passed in 5 to 7 years, why the fuck am I wasting my time training you? And is, like, literally beating on it. Like, a full-grown man, essentially. The way I pictured it, and I don't know their ages, but I pictured it as like a full-grown man beating on like a 15-year-old boy.
Yep. Or maybe like 20-year-old was like the max age I pictured, because I don't know how long.
But even then, like a 20-year-old should hold like
big man, little man.
Yeah. So like and like at that point, it wasn't even Thea that only spoke up. Wilder saw it and is like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yep.
We are training them. We're not doing that. But then he turned it around to be that Kip didn't take an order. Or like some infraction had happened and wanted to make an example out of Kip and give him a beating. So like, I don't know if they were going for like a whipping or like a physical beating, but Kip was supposed to be punished. That's when Thea steps in and she's like, no, you're not doing that. This is made up. You're like, don't hurt him. So then Thea gets the punishment too. And the thing was, Thea was supposed to give Kip the punishment.
And she refused to.
Yes. And that's when Barlow comes in and beats Thea. And the thing is, I think it was supposed to be implied that it's just fist. You're not, like, no weapons. They're not supposed to have weapons at this point. It's just...
And she still has this dagger hidden.
Yeah. Or does Wilder have it?
Wilder might have it, but I know for a little bit she did have the dagger, but no one else could have it. So that was like another hush-hush.
Yes.
But Barlow ends up stabbing her.
Yeah, well, shanking. I'm going to go with shanking because it was hidden.
Okay. Yeah, shanking.
So, I'm sorry, Bean just did something weird with her food and I caught it. It's fine. But yeah, no. So Barlow ends up shanking her and she's bleeding. And at that point,
still nothing's done. Like, they're just kind of sent back to go get patched up.
Well, no, Wilder sees blood, like, leaking. And that's when he steps in and, like, he's like, this is fucking done. You're not doing this. You are not permitting beatings anymore. This isn't happening. And Thea, it's not even that Wilder stepped out at that point. Thea started taunting Barlow. Like, Thea was not giving him the satisfaction of, like, crying or yelling out.
Something like that,
anything. She was not reacting to the beating. She was very much so taunting him. And, like, it wasn't Wilder that stepped in. I think her power, like, flared up or something, and Barlow... She ended up besting Barlow somehow, and then made the comment, like, you can't even beat up a girl. And obviously, like...
that made him more mad.
Yeah. So, then she's sent... They try to send her to the infirmary to get fixed up. Her sister sees her and, like, is freaking out. It's like, why are you...
No, that's when Hawthorne finds her and brings her to her sister, because she was trying to go to the infirmary herself and she was getting lost.
Yeah.
So then Ren takes care of her.
Yes.
And then the three end up getting sent out onto a mission, kind of, after that.
Not yet. Not yet.
I thought it was after that.
Not yet.
Okay.
No, because she gets patched up by the sister, and, like, they're talking a little bit, and then, like, the librarian kind of steps in, and she's like, because Thea wasn't allowed to train. Like, Thea so Kip took, like, really bad blows to the head. So Kip was out for a few days, and Thea was out for a few days. So Thea was sent back to train with the alchemists again. And that's where Wilder kind of stepped in, and he's like, hey, just because, like, you can't train to fight, like, there are other things you can learn that'll put you in an advantage. Like, basically hinting, like, ask the alchemists about, like, battlefield healing and, like, how to heal people and yourself. Because, like, in battle, that you need that person. You need the medic. So then she's in, like, these trainings. And, like, the librarian was the one off the bat fighting for her to train. Like, she supported this. She used to be a Valkyrie or whatever their warrior class of women was. So, like, she's in these alchemy lessons again and, like, finally taking them seriously, because she did brush off
before when they were kind of offered. And
a lot.
She even mentions, like, when she asks to learn about the healing, she's like, oh, finally, Thea, I've been waiting for you to ask this. So then she teaches them all about that.
So it's not long after that they are... I can't remember if they have to go through... They get picked to go on that outside mission because they pass their, like, test thing where they get their totems.
Yes, because they're all on different letters. Each Kip, Cal, and Thea all have different letters to disperse.
But it's only after... I'm pretty sure it's after they get the totems. So, like, getting the totems on top of it was
to be a shield bearer.
Difficult. Yes.
Yep.
It's extremely difficult to get these totems. And the other thing that we kind of get hinted at is, like, there is some magic at play with these totems. You are supposed to be able to, like, be worthy enough to feel where these totems are.
Yes. Yep.
And Kip, Cal, and Thea are able to, but Thea specifically, like, feels most of them. So they give Kip his first.
So yes, Kip feels his totem first out of the three of them.
Yeah.
Which is nice because he's been there the longest, and they all work together to get the totem. But they agree, like, Kip, you felt it. No,
you are right. They go on the mission. They go on the letters first.
I think, they go on the letters first, and then they do the totem.
Because the pole vaulting thing comes in.
So they go on because they go on the letters. They go to the Laughing Fox. They meet Kip's girlie.
The Laughing Fox!
It's real.
Oh my god! And Kip was leaving out a big part of that story. He was born in a bar. Like, literally born in a bar. His mom wasn't, like, a bartender or anything. He was born there. So he did have a girl there. He did have all these wild stories. Like, the bartender knew he was as soon as he walked through the door. He also was hiding his name.
Yep.
Christopher.
So before, though, they get to the Laughing Fox, Thea has to deliver her letter to the king, who ends up giving her a token to thank her for all of her help in saving his life, which is what they end up using. So this token is, like, pretty much says, like, build to the kingdom and you can have unlimited money. So we use that to pay off Kip's tab, since Kip has never paid his tab at the Laughing Fox.
Yeah.
And this coin can just like never be turned in or cashed in. We just know like just to build
It's
a
the
kingdom.
King's Tab.
The King's Tab. So
Yeah.
we meet Kip's girl.
Yep.
Cal hits on Thea, which I liked it. I thought it was cute. I kind of like at this point I'm shipping like maybe Cal and Ren. I know no interactions, very few interactions have happened with Ren and Kip and Cal. Like Ren is aware of those two,
And they are aware of Ren.
And aware of Ren. One, they've met her in passing, and two, I think she's kind of not hanging out with the alchemists as more. Thea isn't, and the other girls who are playing like dancing alchemists, so they're kind of being a little bit more with the gentlemen for it. So on this trip, when they're coming back, they're kind of enjoying their time, and they're swimming in one of the creeks. So they do pole vaulting into the creek, where
like they make it a game.
Cal falls into the water. Kip and Thea can do like kind of the pole vaulting, but then
I thought Kip fell in and Cal and Thea were okay.
One of the boys fell in.
Yeah.
I don't remember what one for sure, but so they kind of learn that, and then they go back for their war sword competition.
They didn't know though. They like kind of just got thrown into it when they got back. They're like, "Oh, it's this soon."
Yeah.
Okay. We're missing something big in between there, and it's
something else happened with the king. I think that's what it was. I think that's when we start to get the feeling of
it's with Wilder.
Is that when she like went to?
I thought that's when they encountered a wraith on one of their training sessions, or was that after the rites?
I think it's after the rite. I could be wrong.
I don't remember. I'll be playing with the cute.
Also, that's another struggle of like audiobooks, listening to audiobooks. Sometimes you can like highlight and kind of figure out based on your highlights or your notes.
Yeah.
I've been trying to, especially now that like we're doing these in-depth reviews of like when I do listen to audiobooks, it's just like trying to jot down notes in my phone.
I think this is the most in-depth review we've done. Usually we just talk about like, I liked this book, it's good.
And I feel like too, this book is just like a lot of people haven't heard of this book.
Yeah.
So like that's another fun thing to kind of do, like another high level in depth.
Yeah.
Like when the Moon hatched, we talked about doing it for that, but it's kind of getting a little bit more popular. So a little bit, people know a little bit more about this.
We also read it a while ago, and like that's such it's a tome. I love it though.
I love it. Love her. This one, I don't even know. I feel like I was on Libby one day and I just seen it on there, and it was like under like fantasy when I like.
It's a Kindle Unlimited book too.
Yeah, I figured that out. I think because I was too eager for the second book, so I think I bought the audiobook versus reading it on Kindle Unlimited for free. But I didn't do that for the third book yet. But anyways, back on topic of our
yeah, so like they go into this test thing that they have to find the totems, and like surprise surprise, they all get a totem. But the other thing that happens is Barlow, little fucking jackass Barlow. I can't say that name without contempt now.
I hope no one ever names their kid Barlow.
No, it's a last name. I just
know.
hope I never meet a Barlow. It's gonna be so hard. I'm sorry if there's a Barlow out there.
You're a nice person. We're really sorry.
I don't hate you. You're just your name.
Fictional Barlows we hate.
Your name gives me like. Do you judge people by their like? Not like judge people, but like, do certain names like what to expect of certain names?
Again, like we were talking before of like the Reese, the Rowan, like you kind of just know like, oh yeah.
But like even like in real life, like there's just names where I know like I'm probably not gonna like you.
Yeah, probably not.
Like there's certain traits that really go with names.
Certain names, yeah. There's one specific name that I'm really thinking in my mind right now that I'm like I don't really like many of those names.
Yeah. But anyway.
So she gets back over. All three of them get back because you had to make it back by like nightfall or like sun dusk or something like that.
And they have their totems, and out comes Barlow to be a jackass. And that's the part we forgot. He kidnapped Cal and Kip and was had them in a cave, like just
drowning,
pretty much. And that's what happened with Wilder. They had to go save him, and that's why Thea was given that task to take the letters, because like she showed the heroism in saving her friends.
And her friends for being brave for staying in there for it too.
Yeah.
Because they were also traumatized by that situation, understandably.
Yeah. So like the other boys basically kidnapped them and tied them up to taunt Thea because they were tired of Kip and Cal helping her.
Yep.
So that happened. And, like, obviously it was super traumatizing for everybody involved. And, like, Cal never really backed away from Thea, but you saw him, like, kind of
distance a little bit more, I
and
think.
like understandably so. That only happened to him because he helped her.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can kind of see like, oh, like I like you, you're like very like I don't want to make this decision to not like be your friend, but at the same time you are literally putting me at risk. But he gets over that. They're okay.
Thea tried to respect that too, where she was trying to stay away from Cal and Kip because she knew
Cal
it was because
more
of
than
her.
Kip kept like
Trying.
kept it there and kept trying to get Cal to as well, which like Kip MVP. We love
Yep,
Kip.
we love Kip.
We love Kip.
We love Kip.
But like Kip was really the one to be like, hey, like when they went into this, right, when they went into this test to be like, hey, I'm the strategy guy. I'm telling you to. We are going to do a lot better if we all stick together. And Thea's like, that makes total sense. I'm cool with that strategy.
Yep.
Cal, are you good with it? And he's like, I can see the plus to it, so I'm not gonna fight it. But like,
and them working together in the right, I think, brought their friendship back, being closer together, and kind of healed them trauma-wise together.
Especially since like Thea let them to have the first two. Thea did not take the totem until the last one. She was the last one to get hers, which really reminded me a lot of like Nesta and like the Nesta Gwen and
yeah, like trying to make sure like they made it through for the right to like get through and like be a Valkyrie and all that.
Yeah,
well, not be a Valkyrie, but be a Valkyrie.
Yeah,
eventually, because that's what they did.
But yeah, but like it really did remind me of that a little bit. But
because isn't that when the Wraith comes too?
No, the jackass Barlow comes in.
I know. I thought
and I kind of wish they killed him. I understand why they didn't.
Kind of wish? No, I wish. Yeah. Like, we don't put kinda in there. We wish. I did, at least.
Yeah. But anyway, Cal sees Barlow and knows he has the jump on him, so he knocks an arrow, because Cal is like a archery prodigy. He is there to be an archer. Like, no doubt, like, obviously they're training him on other things, but they are planning on when he becomes a war sword, he's the archer. That is the role they need him in. That is where they've trained him, and he's a savant for it because his father had him in the woods hunting from a very young age.
Very young age.
Had a bow in his hand, and he was hunting to support his family, and his family is still alive.
Which, that's another interesting storyline that you kind of get a little bit of snippets of throughout this first book of it.
He has like two sisters, and like he really loves his family, but he knows he can provide better for them being there than with them. So he kind of does it for his family too, which is awesome. But so yeah, so Cal has his arrow on Barlow, and like Thea's like, hey, it's not worth killing him. We're gonna get in more trouble because we're not supposed to hurt each other. Like, you can beat each other up, but you're not supposed to draw blood on your fellow cadets or whatever,
or try to murder it.
Yeah,
try to unalive, and that's what he was trying to do at that point.
And that's even in this, right? They explicitly say like it's a competition, yes, but you are not killing your fellow competitors. That is out. Like, you're not. This is not a life or death game to them.
There's just not enough totems, because if you don't get a totem, you're not a war sword, you're not a shield bearer, and you're kind of just more of like a grunt or a worker of the city. You're not getting that like protection, right, and getting that like elite status in a sense.
Yeah. So sadly, Barlow had one.
Fortunately, he gets it in the beginning, because he even like on the island, he tries to just like, he gets his totem, and then he just tries to prevent other people from getting totems.
Yeah, he's a dick. But Cal had an arrow on him, and Thea's like, hey, like, you don't want to kill him. You're a better person than this. Like, don't kill him. And Cal obviously was just tormented by this fucker and literally kidnapped. So Cal decides I'm not that good of a person and puts an arrow through his shoulder blade. And I loved that.
Love that.
I wish it was like a little lower, but loved it. And then they leave and they go and like, that's where the apprentices come in, because like after they get their totems, they know who's moving up. That's where you get paired and you have an apprentice. So
each war sword only gets one apprentice.
No.
Kip. That
Kip
was
and
an
Cal
additional
have the
one.
same one.
But originally they weren't supposed to. Only...
No, so they weren't expecting any, like, they were really only expecting 3 people to find a totem. They did not expect Kip probably to find one.
No.
People need to stop underestimating
Kip. Yeah.
But
Kip stan account here.
Yes, we love Kip. If she makes me not love Kip someday, I'm going to be really upset.
We always will love Kip. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Don't put that in the energy.
I can't trust authors anymore.
We trust. In what's her face? Helen, we trust. I think her name's Helen.
Yeah.
Helen, yeah.
But, so, the other thing, again, there's, like, the romance between Wilder and Thea still going on. And they basically agree, like, knowing Thea's about to go into this test, like, I'm not going to be your mentee. I am not going to be the one to train you if you want to have a relationship. We need to keep that separate. So put in for somebody else to take you as an apprentice, and we can explore what we have on the side then. Well, the first 2 war swords pick other people. The shitty one
picks
Barlow. Bear something.
The other one that I like.
Yeah. He's known for...
His name's not Thor, but...
No, he's known for killing a bear, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or being a bear. Something involving a bear.
Mm-hmm.
He takes Cal. So that and, like, they were pissed that Thea even succeeded, and that's when they found out she still had a dagger.
Yes.
And they're pissed. They're trying to throw her out and saying, like, no, you can't, like, you cheated. You're not even supposed to have this dagger. Like, fuck you. You're not getting a mentee.
Hawthorne gives it back at some point.
Yes. And, like, you're not gonna be, like, you're not getting to be an apprentice. And Hawthorne speaks up again, and he's like, hey, she didn't pull the dagger. She didn't use it. Like, she has a totem. You have to do this. And they're like, okay, cool. She's yours then.
Because this is Barlow's uncle that forces this, too.
Yes, because Barlow's a Nepo baby.
That makes Barlow even better, doesn't it? Doesn't it make you love him? Makes me love him and his uncle. So she's forced to go with Hawthorne.
Yes.
And then it turns into that they can't pursue their relationship any longer.
And, like, he's kind of a dick with how he handles that. Because, like, it's not even just that. Like, they get these assignments, immediately wraiths are coming in. They need to go. They need full forces. Everybody's just... The shield breakers are given shields. The war swords are, like, out in front handling it. They kick ass. But the other thing is, nobody listens to Thea when she tells them what they need to do. Then, something else kind of weird happens, and, like, a very convenient lightning strike comes and, like, saves her and Barlow. She saves Barlow.
Twice.
In
a book.
Yeah. Saves Barlow. Again. She doesn't realize, like, she knew it was her, but she couldn't explain it. So now, it's revealed that she has these magical storm powers. And the thing is, the only people who are supposed to have magic are royal heirs. So she's freaking out, and Hawthorne comforts her and, like, talks her down pretty well. But then he's an asshole and just ghosts.
Yep.
And that's where the second book starts. So, like, let's not
get too far into that one for it. I wonder, did she keep Barlow alive for something further along in the future? I feel like she did. I feel like he's very well mentioned throughout book 1, so I think he's going to keep coming up in book 2 and throughout the series, because I think there's 4 of these, if I'm not mistaken.
This is a complete series. And anybody who's like, that's suspiciously close to another book. That's my note. My note literally is, girl who was never supposed to be a warrior becomes one after being actively trained for something else that will help her in the future. Barlow and storm powers. This does not escape us. We know it is similar. Look at your publication dates, though. This came out first, not saying anything about that. They literally came out like a month or two apart. But publishers do that on purpose. Like, please do not start attacking authors. Oh, you stole from this one, you stole from this one. No, publishing houses look for similar ideals and similar stories because that's what sells. So, like, please don't start attacking authors. I'm pretty sure she's a smaller author,
She is.
but, like, don't start that. It's
And
not worth it.
there's so many books out there that have, I think, very similar storylines and plot lines. Like, even we've referenced a couple books like Illyrians and Valkyries and things like that. I think you always can take inspiration from others and turn it into your own art.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like either whatever people do that, it's not based on their thing. Like, I don't know.
No.
I just accept people read the stories you like to read, accept that everyone's not going to read and enjoy all the same stories.
I'm pretty sure this is a completed series. So, like, at least we
so.
have 4 of these books already. So, like, take that with what it is. Is it similar? Yeah, I'll give it that. I still really enjoyed this book.
I did. I enjoyed this a lot. I gave this a 4 on Goodreads, but I think I rated this like 4.25, 4.5 star. I enjoyed the read throughout the book. I think the pacing was interesting. I was interested throughout it.
I love that, again, it's another book that the romance doesn't drive the book.
Mm-hmm.
The book, like, you could take out the romance and it's still an awesome book. Mm-hmm. I love the friendship elements. I love the sisterhood with the alchemist and Ren, that we get to see her as an actual sister. I
found family. That's another fun trope into this book.
I love that the librarian's like, hey, like, I know my shit. These daggers I'm allowed to have are ceremonial, but, like, don't think I can't. Like,
don't think we
which I wish Thea would do more, like, have her more actively in her training, because, like, the librarian was fighting for her to get training all along.
Yes.
And, like, okay, you came to her for, like, the healing, but, like, you don't think that woman knows exercises and shit? Or especially even geared towards another woman?
Like, one-on-ones more with her. Like, seek her out a little bit more.
Or, like, even being like, hey, as a woman, like, okay, you can't use the brute strength a man has. Here's how you get around that. Mm-hmm. Why didn't you use that? Why don't we see her interact like that?
Maybe in book 2 we will. Maybe not. We'll see. I'm hoping to see it, but I don't.
Maybe it's book 3, because book 2 is, like, very centered on other things.
Yeah.
But I want to see that. I think that would be awesome.
So I think we'll probably cover the series 2 further along in more episodes. Definitely recommend this.
100%.
It is a long wait on Libby for the audiobook, so I will say that. You can check out Hoopla.
It's on Hoopla.
Yep, it's on Hoopla, so check out Hoopla if you like the audiobooks, because I did like the audiobook. You have 2 different voices in it. You have them,
I love that.
Both of them. But if not, again, Kindle Unlimited, which highly recommend Kindle Unlimited. It's $11.99 a month.
It's cheaper than a paperback.
So
if you go through 1 paperback a month, just get Kindle Unlimited.
Yep.
You get some of the books, like, are on there for free before they get big too. Because, like, I know, like, Done and Dusted was a KU book forever, and now it's not because it got popular.
Yeah.
But, like, yo,
check them out.
It's good.
Not a bad thing. All right. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah. I can't stamp this one because it's on my iPad.
One day when we get it in physical copy, we'll both stamp it for you. But
there's the satisfying click.
Click, click. Well, it was nice hanging out with all of you guys.
Yeah. Keep reading. Have a good time. Be kind.
Yeah. And let everyone enjoy their art. Your art is important, everyone.
The publishing companies are literally playing us and trying to get us to create drama to talk about books. We should just talk about books because we like them and not give in to this toxic culture.
Stay positive, everyone.
Yes.